Aku, 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 aku. Glory, 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 glory. Anetes neptawi, anetes neptawi. Adatiyam hekau, adatiyam hekau. Du Aset netrita Aset, du Aset netrita Aset, du Aset nehasasa, du Aset nehasasa. Du Aset mudheru, du Aset sehuheru, du Aset neru Aset. Aku, aku, aku.
Uja, everyone. Does everyone have sound? Testing 1, 2, 3. Dua to everyone for joining this evening. This is a special evening, a celebration of two things: the Kemetic New Year, the new Kemetic New Year, which occurs around this time of the year. There are 5 special, what are called epagomenal days. There are 365 days, but there are 5 days that are special, in which 5 major divinities are born. And one of those is the goddess Aset, and we're especially commemorating the birth of goddess Aset. Their birth every year signals the beginning and the creation of the new year that everyone can live. So that's something to be celebrated. And we're making a special commemoration of one of those divinities, which is Aset, and her teaching. And so this is like a Heb, which is a festival. And what I would like to do is a special presentation for me also, because I'm not going to be doing it. We're going to have 2 of the initiates from the Temple of Aset to do the presentation, and I and Sebajai will come on later also. So I wanted to go over just a very brief introduction to them also. We're going to have two initiates of the temple who are going to be conducting the presentation. One is Shems Harit and one is Shems Baket. They are graduates of the Temple of Aset teaching. And before I give a further introduction to them, some of you know, some of you may not know who Aset is. Some may know her as Isis. And I wanted to play a very quick introductory video to give just a brief idea.
Hail to you, Osiris, Lord of eternity, King of gods. The eldest born of Geb and Nut, you rule both the living and those beyond. Osiris is one of our mightiest gods, stranger, the god of the underworld, but the god, too, of resurrection and continued life. Osiris was once the king of Egypt. Isis, his sister, was his wife and queen. Our land flourished under his reign. He governed the waters of noon and brought favoring breezes to the land so that the earth teemed with food and plenty. The sky and all the stars obeyed him. Yet Osiris's peaceful reign was shattered by an act of violence we find it difficult to speak about. For Osiris's brother Seth attacked him while he rested beneath a tree by the river Nile, and there murdered him. Seth cut his brother's body into several pieces and strewed them far and wide so that Osiris might never again be found. But Seth could not destroy the love and cunning of Isis, Osiris's consort. For Isis roamed the land distraught with grief for her husband and intent on finding each of his parts. When she had found them and reassembled them, Isis gave breath to Osiris so that he might give her his love one last time. The child born of their miraculous union was Horus. Osiris entered the hidden portals of eternity, where he now receives the dead in the underworld. His own death and resurrection speak of the life that continues even after death. Hail to you, Osiris, whom thousands bless and all mankind extols. After Seth had murdered Osiris, Isis spirited their child Horus far away to a hidden swamp and raised him there in secret to protect him from Seth's jealousy. Yet Seth took the shape of the scorpion and stung Horus while still a nursling in his mother's arms. Isis tried to rouse her baby with magic, but to no avail. Thoth, the god of wisdom, assured her that Horus had merely gone to visit Osiris in the underworld, and that he would one day rise again to avenge his father.
Good job. This was the first part of the Osiris resurrection teaching. Later it goes on to show how Aset taught her son Heru, who the video called Horus, and how he eventually, like Lord Shehuti said, the ibis-headed divinity said, he will be victorious in the end. And so just want you to get an idea of the divinity that the Temple of Aset is based on. The question is, how did Aset get this power of resurrection, of finding all the pieces of Asar, bringing them back together, and for for blowing air on the body, helping to revive it, and bringing forth a child, etc. What does all this mean mythically? And there is a special scripture that is studied by the initiates of the Temple of Aset, and that is the teaching of Ra and Aset. And that's a scripture that is studied that gives all these mysteries. It talks about how a person is supposed to practice meditation and dedicate oneself to discovering the divine within themselves, the path for doing that, how to awaken the serpent power that leads consciousness to join with the divine. And so that course is ongoing and was put together a few years ago. And so Shems Harit and Shems Baket were taking that course. And I want to share my screen now. They took the course and graduated. And there are two terms that I wanted to bring here very quickly, and one of them is Basu. Many of you may know the term Basu. Basu is teacher, instructor, like a teacher of the like a school teacher, in other words. And then there's another term that's related. That's called Bastu, and that means induction or initiation. And so, having completed the course, which is an advanced course in Kemetic philosophy and hieroglyphic scripture, etc., etc. These two are considered initiates of the Temple of Aset, as of course, as well as teachers of what they've been trained in. And so, with that, what you're seeing here is an image here of the Temple of Aset. This one is in Pompeii, and this is a ritual that is being conducted. And you see both Africans or people of African descent and people of European descent conducting a ritual to Aset. And the main teaching of the Temple of Aset is devotion to Asar and devotion to the supreme divine, the supreme transcendental unnamed divine. And that's what the scripture teaches how to achieve, how to practice. And so now I want to bring the two Temple of Aset initiates so they can do a presentation for you on the things that they've learned through the course and through their personal development over the last few years following the teaching. And for anyone who would like to, at the end, you may ask them questions at the end as well. And Sabijah and I will be back later. Okay, Atep and Shazbaket, I will turn it over to you now. Atep.
Atep. And let me just get the presentation up. And hopefully you can. Atep.
Can you hear me?
Ni.
Okay. Okay. Let's begin. Puja, Wekul Heb, New Year Festival Rejoicing. We are Shemsu Harit and Baket, and we are certified initiates of the Temple of Aset through Kemet University. With the coming of the Kemetic New Year, we are pleased to honor and celebrate the birth of Aset, and would first like to say our dua to Sebai Ma for facilitating and translating the profound wisdom in the scripture of Ra and Aset, and to Sebajah for the insights that she shared on the teachings that were presented.
Dua Shamsarit for that Nefer welcome. And Uja to all. Dua Sevama, Dua Sevaja. And next we can see that Sevama had created a new website, which is www.templeofisis.info. And you may visit this and where you find the information below of how Isis is the Greek name for Aset. And you can see down below there is a little blue arrow showing Aset or Aset, and her Greek name as Isis or Demeter.
O tepti nezunetera anpu webwat nepta jeser perkeru kakape sineter arima keru.
O teti nasunetera anpu epwat nepta jeser perkeru kakapet sinetari makeru.
O tepti nezunetera anpu webwa nepta jeser perkeru kakape sineter arima keru.
O teti nasunetera anpu epwat nepta jeser perkeru kakapet sinetari makeru.
O tepti nezunetera anpu webwat nepta jeser perkeru kakape sineter arima keru.
O teti nasunetera anpu epwat nepta jeser perkeru kakapet sinetari makeru.
O tepti nezunetera anpu webwa nepta jeser perkeru kakape sineter arima keru.
O teti nasunetera anpu epwat nepta jeser perkeru kakapet sinetari makeru.
Offering is given to the Supreme Divinity, and to Anpu, preparer of the traveler, and Wepwat, opener of the ways, Lord of the sacred land. The spoken offering is 1,000 beasts, complete maleness, and 1,000 geese, complete femaleness. This causes the divine to make one true of speech, an enlightened being. Atet.
Atet. And now for just a little bit of a background on the Temple of Aset. The Temple of Aset is found in Philae, now on Ajilkia Island, near Aswan, Egypt. And we were privileged to have toured and studied this temple with Sebaima and Sebaja in 2015. And I believe Sebaja is planning another pilgrimage to this temple with her trip to Kemet in 2019. And here's some group pictures and some individual pictures, and of course the temple itself. And you may be wondering, where is the myth of Aset, Ra and Aset found? The scripture of the legend of Ra and Aset is contained in what is known as the Papyrus of Turin in Italy. The course scripture has 119 verses, taken from pages 31, 77, and 131 through 138. And Sebaima translated this scripture using his trilinear method. This means he gives us translation of the glyphs at the first verse there. Then the number 2 is the transliteration, which is the word-for-word translation of the glyphs. And finally, number 3, the contextual translation or meaning. This method allows for the use of the left brain, which is the more analytical and logical, and the right brain, which is more creative, to comprehend more cohesively. So first and foremost, dua to the goddess for allowing me to access this course, for which Sebaima provided an extensive and comprehensive elucidation of the teachings of the myth of Ra and Aset. Through various methods, using the scriptures of different myths, along with our interactive discussions, music, and other media to inform, correct, and bring clarity to our understanding of the teachings. But not just for knowledge's sake, although one could certainly just receive them at that level of intellectual learning. But this course brings about a profound change of your personality, perspective of the world, and your quote, life, end quote. We have the following quote by Plutarch about the teachings of the Temple of Aset. And it says, "The end and aim of all these toils and labors is the attainment of the knowledge of the first and chief being, who alone is the object of the understanding of the mind. And this knowledge the goddess invites us to seek after, as being near and dwelling continually with her." Previous to taking this course, I considered myself a devotee of Aset. Having visited the Temple of Aset in 2015 with Sebaima and Sebaja, only deepened this devotion. Naturally, when this course was offered, I wanted to participate fully. We all know Aset was the queen of Egypt, wife of Asar, mother of Heru, and many other titles she bore. But what do we really know about Aset, the person? This course brings true knowledge of Aset. What I truly appreciated about this course was really getting to know the goddess through her thoughts, feelings, and actions, her experiences, and staying close to her. In the first few verses 7 and 8 of the scriptures of Ra and Aset, it tells us that, look, here comes Aset in the form of a physical woman. Just like us. Throughout the teachings, we learn the what and how of Aset's thinking. Her feeling and meditative processes become actions she performs to transcend. Now, these actions, her listening, reflecting, and meditating, are not some fanatical or fantastical ideas or imaginations. Rather, they are practical disciplines followed through her example. I remember thinking, if Aset is a physical woman or man, and she can do this, why not me? I believe that was a pivotal moment, realizing that Aset in her physical form, a human person, was able to find her true essence. It gave the understanding that this is indeed possible. Not easy, but at least possible, which was very encouraging. In verse 8, it mentions one of the first keys to Aset's success as a Kemetic term, kak-ab, or dispassion and detachment, repudiation, sick, disgusted with the world. Sebaima reviewed this term in the course extensively, as it is not just being disappointed, but truly sick of the desires and the ups and downs of the world. Aset was a master of the sciences, held titles, yet was disgusted and was not content and knew there was more. In my 50s, sadly, I was, quote, happily going about my life, end quote. I had raised 2 adult children. I was living on the island of St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. I was working with children. I thought I was content too. There were things that just didn't sit right with me with my then religion of Roman Catholic. But I felt I was devout and a good person, so... Then my daughter, Asar Sekmet, invited me to come to a class she was taking at the then Temple of Arat Sekhem with Sehu Kapara. This began my, quote, listening stage. Curiosity turned to studying. Studying turned to understanding. Shatat Netter resonated with me and filled in the gaps that a Western religion cannot. However, I was not at, quote, kakab, end quote, just yet, or maybe a little. My daughter encouraged me to contact Sebaja when I was visiting our home in Florida. I did, and we met, and let's just say there has been no turning back. Sebaima and Sebaja continue the traditions of Shatat Netter in such a pure and unadulterated way that can still be applied in your everyday practical life. I felt I needed to continue to learn and grow in this Natarian tradition, especially since we were moving to Florida from St. Croix. So I grew closer to the teachings, the programs offered, the courses, and devotion to the goddess through Sebaima and Sebaja. Through this Temple of Aset certification course, we learn of the 3 important keys to achieve what Aset did. She was not only kakab, but was antet bagag, meaning relentless, along with anken, meaning not stopping, not resting, not alighting in her pursuit to know the true name of Ra. Aset devises a plan after her careful observation of the route that Ra courses each day. As he is getting older, he drips a bit of spittle on the ground. Aset gathers some spittle or spirit and mixes it with some soil or earth. She kneads and fashions it into a sacred serpent, the Tafi Shepsi or Jedati Shepsi. She places it on Ra's path, where it lies very still, or on Nemo Nemo, until the right moment when it strikes and bites and poisons Ra. Ra is in dire need of a cure and calls his gods and goddesses, but none can help other than Aset, as she was the only one who created the Tapi Shepsi. Therefore, only she can remove its poisonous effects. Being the creator of the Tapi Shepsi means she transformed her personality with one pointed focus. Reflecting and meditating on these occurrences gives you an understanding of what exactly Aset is doing. After her listening and reflecting, and now through her stillness and meditation, allowing the serpent power to unite, creating the Tapi Shepsi, she penetrates the illusoriness of Ra. She is breaking down the illusoriness of creation. She comes to Ra with an offer to cure him if he will tell her his name. With the temple's Hekau, a chant of Jedana Renake. Tell to I the name divine. He at first tries to dissuade her. However, he then finally agreed, as he cannot sustain creation, but it cannot be spoken in time and space. It is transcendent of time and space. These verses of 102 to 104 demonstrate that Aset has completed her mission and will now know the divine name of Ra, his true essence. But my reflections on this allowed for the questions, now what? What will she do with it? The scripture goes on to explain just that with verses 108 through 112. As you can see with the last verse of 112.3, where it reads, I have done this. It was me. I am the divinity who is the cause of the bringing out of the poison and making it fall to the ground. Nuk Aria, Nuk A Hau, Ma'ai, Her Da. Of course, now, no longer as Lady Aset, but Goddess Aset, with all her wisdom, compassion, love, and generosity, makes a pact, a life oath with Ra, that he will give his eyes to Haru, meaning us, when the time comes. How comforting this was to me. So not only has she shown us the way to follow her, but has assured an agreement with Ra that we too have the capacity to reach the glorious heights she attained, that of becoming one with divine, thereby truly knowing the divine essence is our essence. And this is from the Temple of Asar, some beautiful images of the goddess and her love. And may you reach the soaring heights of Goddess Aset in this KEMETIC New Year. Atet, Dua Aset. Dua Seba Ma, Dua Seba Ja, Dua Shamsarit, and all participants of this course, as the interaction between us allows for deeper understanding. And right now we have aspirants, Shems Aku, Shems Arit Natur Mary S, Maati, Shems Ola, and we hope more will join us. Atet. And now we'd like to share this Nefer song to the goddess. It was composed and written by Segai Ma. Aku, aku,
Aku, aku,
aku, aku,
aku, aku.
glory, glory,
Glory, glory.
glory, glory.
Glory, glory.
Anatesh nebetawi,
Anatesh nebetawi.
Anatesh nebetawi,
Anatesh nebetawi.
Arti I am hekao,
Arti I am hekau.
Arti I am hekao.
Arti I am hekau.
Du aset netritasen,
Du aset netritasen.
du aset nehastasai,
Du aset nehastasai.
du aset muteru,
Du aset muteru.
du aset sehuheru,
Du aset seuheru.
du aset neru aset,
Du aset neru aset.
aku, aku,
Aku, aku.
aku, aku,
Aku, aku.
glory, glory,
Glory, glory.
glory, glory,
Glory, glory.
Anatej nebetawi.
Anatesh nebitawi.
Anatej nebtawi.
Anatesh neptawi.
Artyayam hekau.
Artyayam hekau.
Artyayam hekau.
Artyayam hekau.
Dvaset netritaset.
Duaset netritaset.
Dvaset nehastasat.
Duaset nehastasat.
Dvaset muteru.
Duaset muteru.
Dvaset sehuheru.
Duaset sehuheru.
Dvaset neruaset.
Duaset neruaset.
Aku, aku.
Aku, aku.
Aku, aku.
Aku, aku.
Glory, glory.
Glory, glory.
Glory, glory.
Glory, glory.
Duaset.
Duaset. Aset. To adoration, Shimasaket, for your inspired personal account with the goddess.
Duaset.
My first experience with the teachings of Ra and Aset goes back to the first KEMETIC conference that I attended in 2009 with the SEMA Institute. The topic for the conference was the Asarian resurrection, and Sebai Ma did a brief overview of the Ra and Aset myths. At that time in my spiritual evolution, I could not fully appreciate the complexities in the teachings of Ra and Aset. Mind you, I thought I knew everything there was to know about Aset previous to this conference. And I was a bit dismayed and confused at this presentation of the goddess, which seemed to be uncharacteristic of the Aset that I knew and loved. To be honest, I wasn't sure that I quite liked her in this role. I questioned why would Aset fashion a serpent from spittle, be collected drooling from Ra, mix it with dirt, then use it to poison him. Verse 18 from the scripture states, quote, that saliva of Ratim was falling voluminously on the faces of persons, flooding all over the land, exposed to half of the sky. Knowing its significance, Isis collected it for herself, end quote. While I was sure there was some symbolic meaning, at that time it was lost to me. On the final day of that conference, Sabai instructed us to write down any phrase or word that resonated with us from the teachings that had been presented during the entire conference. Without having to think twice, I wrote down Taffy Shepsy. The term Taffy Shepsy immediately brought forth the image of the taffy candy that I enjoyed eating in my youth. Years ago, it was popular to get together with friends, family, what have you, for a taffy pool. First, you cook the ingredients to a boil, allowing it to cool down. When it was ready, you would start kneading it until it began to stiffen. Next, you and another person began to pull and fold it repeatedly, molding it into any desired shape and allowing it to sit until it hardened enough to eat. It has often made me wonder if the origins for taffy candy is somehow rooted in this myth. Note the similarities in verses 19, 20, and 21. Quote, in her hand she held the spittle with some soil. Being on her person she kneaded, as in kneading taffy, what belonged to herself in the form of a spiritually consecrated serpent, making it for herself in the form of an image of a harpoon having a shaft that ends in one point. But the image of that sacred serpent was not moving yet, end quote. An nimu nimu is the Kemetic word for stillness, not moving. As I have grown in the teachings over the years, and with the completion of the Kemet University Temple of Aset course, I have come to realize that the forming of the Taffy Shepsy serpent by Aset can be likened to pulling taffy in a metaphorical sense. In fact, pulling taffy is a process of transformation in the physical sense. The spiritual aspirant, in this case represented by Aset, is purified with burning spiritual desire and transforms herself by combining the spiritual, spittle of Ra, with the physical, earth, dirt, forming serpent power, Arat Sekam, and meditating in stillness, An Nimu Nimu, with a one-pointed focus to strike and, quote, poison illusion, in this case represented by Ra, thus claiming, quote, what belonged to herself, end quote, namely, immortality. Isn't that what we all want? Be like Aset? My problem was that as far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be like Aset, but I didn't know how to be like Aset. Now I have learned through the teachings, written down thousands of years ago, that Aset's story is my story and your story, humanity's story and birthright. I say this based on my own experience with the goddess Aset. Through the Temple of Aset course with Kemet U, and the measured difference that it has made in my own personal spiritual journey. I no longer believe Aset is out of reach because not only do the teachings of Ra and Aset reveal the provisions used by Aset, but the actual Heckout chant, Jedina Rinake, tell to I, the name divine, speaks truth to power. One of my favorite quotes from verse 65 of the scriptures, translated by Seba Ima, says it all. Quote, for a person who may be overwhelmed by instability, her words cause life to be restored and dispelling the mucus clogging the throat that is choking and preventing proper breathing, as well as the ignorant ignorance obstructing the enlightened consciousness. Who among us has not been overwhelmed by instability? I most definitely have had my fair share of adversity. In such cases, I ask, what would Aset do? I know what she wouldn't do. Aset would not go out and buy a new pair of shoes, or find a new hobby, or reach for her favorite dessert. These, quote, solutions are what we call in the Kemetic language nejim, meaning sweetness or all pleasure. However, they are not abiding, only illusions of Ra's creation. Thus, they only lead us back to more pain and suffering. Aset was past all of that because she had developed kakab, a repudiating heart towards the worldly. Seba Ima described it as literally wanting to gag at the mere thought. What would Aset do? Let's look at the reflection of Aset in verses 9 to 11 from the scriptures. Quote, she considered the options of millions of gods and goddesses as better. After she made an assessment of that option, she then reconsidered. What about the millions of enlightened sages and saints? What if instead of being an ordinary mortal woman, she were instead like them, not being spiritually ignorant in the heavenly plane or ignorant while on earth? In effect, to be like Ra. End quote. Essentially, Aset went into deep, concentrated reflection and meditation to arrive at a solution. Quote, be like Ra. When I first read the above quote in the lesson, it became clear to me why Aset needed the spittle of Ra to mix with the earth in order to form a Taffy Shepsi serpent. We must master both the spiritual and the worldly plane of existence to become spiritually enlightened while living on earth in this very lifetime. The Temple of Aset course challenged me to look beyond my ignorance and reflect deeper and deeper into the layers of the teaching. How far I have come from my first impressions of the teachings of Ra and Aset. Dua once again to Seba Ima and Seba Jah for making that possible. May all be inspired to give birth to Aset in the Kemetic New Year. Finally, I would like to share my personal New Year tribute to the goddess Aset with a Taffy Shepsi recipe I put together based on the teachings of Ra and Aset. Aset's New Year Taffy Shepsi formula. Ingredients: 1 dose of kakab, repudiating heart, a dash of antat bigad, relentless pursuit, 1 bushel of onkin. Don't stop the pursuit ever. A measure of on nimu nimu. Meditate in stillness. 1 pointed focus to take. Take aim. Strike at ignorance. Instructions: combine the above ingredients and heat to a burning spiritual desire. Shemsu Uja. Let cool, then knead, pull, fold, shape, and mold your taffy shepsi serpent. Chant the hekal, Jedina Renake. Enjoy immortality. Dua Aset. Dua Aset. Dua Aset. Dua Aset. Attack.
Do a Shem's Harit for your Nefer reflections. Now let us just sing the chorus of Aku Aku before we chant or we say our prayer. Aku Aku.
Aku Aku.
Aku Aku.
Aku Aku.
Glory, glory.
Glory, glory.
Glory, glory.
Glory, glory.
Now, many of you may know this prayer to Aset that is included with our devotion each morning. It is the invocatory prayer to Aset. O benevolent Aset, who protected her brother Asar, who searched for him without wearying, who traversed the land in mourning and never rested until she had found him. She who afforded him shadow with her wings and gave him air with her feathers, who rejoiced and carried her brother home. She who revived what was faint for the weary one, who received his seed and conceived an heir, and who nourished him in solitude while no one knew where he was. Aset saith, I have come to be a protector unto thee. I waft unto thee air for thy nostrils, and the north wind which cometh forth from the god Tem unto thy nose. I have made whole for thee thy windpipe. I make thee to live like a god. Thine enemies have fallen under thy feet. I have made thy word to be true before Nut. Thou art mighty before the gods. We'll pause 1 minute for silent meditation on this Nefer prayer to Aset. Now, Sebamala, did you want to speak now, or did we want to have our meditation first?
Nee, I think Subaja actually has a few words.
Dua. Wujud Sebaja.
Puja, Dua Shams Harid and Dua Shams Baket for a beautiful festivity. And Sebama will be showing pictures of the two of you later on. And if you have pictures you would like to show of yourselves, you're welcome to post it. I had to dig through my phone. I didn't have a whole lot of time, so hopefully, nonetheless, the images, just so they can have an appreciation of you. So it was just very briefly put together, but if you have images of yourself or you would like to use your camera, you'd be more than welcome to also do that. So you can be also seen as well as heard. So I just wanted to share with you briefly a poem of mine to the goddess Aset. So I'd like to actually share it with the goddess Aset in each of you, and the goddess from the goddess Aset in myself, which is all the one goddess Aset. And I don't remember when I wrote this poem, but it was a while ago. So Aset by Sevaja. Aset, the great goddess, the universal mother so divine. Just thinking of her filled me with thoughts and feelings most sublime. Who could resist a mother with her arms and heart always open wide? Ever waiting to embrace me, and in whom I can always abide. Like every mother, she does not permit her children to do everything they want to do, because she knows when the outcomes will be disastrous for you. When out of egoism, to her will you, like good children, do not surrender? You'll experience pain and sorrow and then go on to blame her. You scream at her, if you loved me, you would not have let this happen to me. Where were you when I needed you? How could you just let me be? You may place yourself in a corner and sit and stew. Sometimes out of your ignorance and anger and frustration, you may even say, I hate you. During all your trials, like any good mother, it hurts her to see her children suffer pain and sorrow, but she knows that it must be, that you'll be better off for it tomorrow. So patiently, she waits for the flames of egoism to die down, to approach her child, her face radiant, yet showing concern in the form of a frown. She extends her arms and places her index finger under your chin, and gently raises up your head until your eyes meet again. In the wave of love and compassion she sends through her stare, you feel pangs of guilt for the things you said to her in your rage, but about this you know she does not care. She'd already forgiven you, even before you said the harsh things you did. She knows they are not the real you, but the ego of which you were working to get rid. You know it's not her fault that you experience discomfort, sorrow, and pain. She tried to tell you what to do, but you rejected her wisdom again and again. She says, though at times you may feel you are alone and apart, know that I'm always with you. I am your very heart. From her lips flow the words, I love you, for you are my very soul. In the moment she embraces you, and you become completely whole. Om Hatap 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 Hatap.
Dua Sebaja. Yes, Baget, you can carry on. That's it.
Dua Sebaja.
Dua, say that job for that those inspired words.
So we'll now transition to a brief breathing and meditation exercise. So sitting comfortably with your back straight and your shoulders squarely over your hips, in stillness, an nemo nemo, not moving.
Let us breathe deeply and rhythmically in and out of our nostrils, and closing the eyes, inhale and expand your abdomen. Exhale and contract your abdomen gently towards the spine. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale.
And now we'll add the chant, the Hekau from the teachings of the Temple of Aset scripture, which is Jedena Ren Ake. Tell to I the name divine. Breathing in, we'll mentally chant along with me as I chant aloud. And breathing out, you can chant the Hekau. Calm response. Jedena Ren Ake.
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 Jedena Ren Ake. Opening the eyes and looking at the screen, observe the image, Lady Aset with Ra lying on the ground. Lady Aset kindly asked Ra to tell her his name, but he refused and tried to dissuade her, telling her his many glorious creator attributes. While Lady Aset agreed that all those things are indeed glorious, but within that catalog of attributes, he still did not reveal his name to her. So she was not dissuaded by the Nejim, all the sweetness of creation. She was not distracted. She was relentless, Antet Begag, and persisted with her response of Jedena Renake. Tell to I the name divine.
As we observe the image now of the Tapi Shepsi, we will continue the Hekau, which has the capacity not only through the vibration of the Hekau, but also in the visualization. You are creating this image within you and transforming into that vision, allowing it to powerfully poison the illusion of the world with one pointed focus, thereby forcing the true name to be revealed, the transcendental name, the abstract name, Nebuchadnezzar, Neter, Neter An Ren, divinity without a name. The ultimate goal of the teaching of the Temple of Aset is to seek that divine name.
Closing the eyes and Jedena Renake.
Jidanarana-ke.
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 Jidanarana-ke. Now opening the eyes, you may visualize a set in front of you with outstretched wings to divinely embrace you, or Heptu. Just as she is depicted here, a set on the right embracing a Sar on the left with protection and life force energy. Feel her divine love and wisdom within you.
Now, closing the eyes and Jidanarana-ke.
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 Jidanarana-ke. Now continue the chant mentally within you as we are silent within that time. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back to the chant. Jedina Renake. L to I, the name divine. Coming back now to a physical awareness, but with a transformed consciousness that the Hakao has brought about. Slowly and gently open your eyes. Om Pete 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 Pete.
Om Pete 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 Pete.
Om peace, 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 peace.
Om peace, 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 peace.
I'd like to share with you the chant that is in the temple of Aset, and which is her chant. Dua and Aset heteru mutnete.
Dua intaset heteru mutnete.
Nebet pet henu dabuditit neteru.
Neripat hanut abuditit neteru.
Dua and Aset heteru mutnete.
Dua intaset heteru mutnete.
Nebet pet henut abuditit neteru.
Hanut abuditit neteru.
Adorations to She, Isis, Hathor, Mother of the Divine Self, Mistress of Abaton, Queen of the Gods and Goddesses. And we sincerely hope you enjoyed this presentation for the birth of Goddess Aset. And if you have an interest in joining this course, you are welcome and invited to visit www.templeofisis.info to view information on the course. And you may also contact us with any questions about the course via email. And Shem's Harit's email is gwhmnt@gmail.com, or myself, Shems Baket, at baketasura@gmail.com. Dua Hana Hata. Now, if you have any questions or concerns, and then Sebama will be speaking as well, so don't hang up just yet.
Make it larger with the PowerPoint.
Uja, does everyone have sound? Okay, very good. Do it to everyone for joining this evening. We found two pictures. The one on the left was taken on our trip to Kemet in 2017 in October. After the main trip, we went exploring some different areas, and that is Shamsarit on the left, and I'm in the center, and Sebaja is on the right. And the picture on the right is Shazbaket, and this picture was taken at the in December at the conference. So I want to thank you both for doing this presentation. You exceeded the expectations, if there were any. It's a very nice program, very soothing, and very also enlightening. Your personal experiences. So dua for extending yourselves. And I wanted to let everyone know who has attended the presentation that you are qualified to answer questions about the course and about the materials that you learn, the teachings that you learn through the course, and to be a basu, an assistant for assisting those who are interested in this path. I just wanted to show one more image. This is the part of the same image that we showed earlier, but this includes the interior of the Temple of Aset in Kemet. The other one I showed was in Pompeii, and that was in Italy. And this one is the interior of the temple in Kemet, as it was found in the early 19th century. And on the left is the god Ra, on the right is the goddess Aset. In the center is the scripture that we study in the course. And I don't have a larger image of the scripture. It's several feet long. And that is the scripture that is studied in the course. I was like to say one more thing about them, about Shamsiri and Shazbaket as students. They were very much into the course from the beginning, and they exhibited a strong quality with to grasp the teaching. And as a teacher, you get that sense when the student reflects the teaching back in their own words. If it's parroting, then it's one thing, it's like memory. But being able to paraphrase it means that you have to deconstruct the teaching, and then you have to reconstruct it with your own understanding. And that shows many capacities. It shows the capacity to listen, and then the capacity to reflect, a capacity and maturity to be able to cognize the philosophy, and underneath it all is a kind of maturity to accept the teaching because many people can't accept the teaching. And Shamsarit mentioned in the beginning that when she first approached the teaching of Aset as I was espousing it, it is not quite the same as how she had received it before. And there are many, and there have always been, since the inception, there have always been followers of ISIS. There's a large group in Europe and here in the States, the Fellowship of ISIS, and under other names. But most of those traditions are based on a Western or Greek conception, and they don't go to the depth of the original source of the teaching, which comes from Kemet. And that source is located in the temples, and it's located in scripture. And one of the main scriptures is the teaching of Aset and Ra. And there are other scriptures like the Lamentations of Aset and some sections of the Permhuru, the Pyramid texts. And in the new book, there's going to be possibly some new revelations about Aset and Nebuchadnezzar that many have not heard before. So that should be interesting. So, but it's very nice to see that and they were the first to complete the course. We have some other students behind them coming along also. So it's very nice that they completed the course and that they're able to assist in this way. And they assist in other ways in putting on the conferences and on the trip. There was a lot of assistance that they gave, and also in transcribing and so many other helpful things that go to be able to produce the things that I do. That I don't often give credit to people because I'm so busy thinking about the things that are being done. So again, Dua, thank you to these two initiates of Aset and devotees of Aset, and may they continue to expand with Aset the teaching and discover and create the same enlightenment that Goddess Aset teaches. Om Hatep Hatep Hatep.
Om Hatep Hatep Hatep.
If there are any questions, you can ask them now if you like. Otherwise,
Rescue.
we can continue with the program. Hatep.
Dua Sevama Sevaja, Shamsarit, and all of you who have participated and taken the time to be with us for this Nefer commemoration of the birth of the goddess Aset. So let us just say our chant Dua entaset heterumut neter.
Dua entaset heterumut neter.
Dua entaset heterumut neter.
Dua entaset heterumut neter.
Nebet petenut abuditit neteru.
Nebis patenut abuditit neteru.
Nebet petenut abuditit neteru.
Nebis patenut abuditit neteru.
Adorations to she, Isis Hathor, Mother of the Divine Self, Mistress of Abaton, Queen of the Gods and Goddesses. And just a reminder for those of us who are in the Temple of Aset course, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time is our monthly discussion meeting, and we hope to see you all there. Dua Sevama, Dua Sevaja. Hita.
I see someone had a question there. Are you going to take it?
How do we come upon this date for the Kemetic New Year and recognition of Aset? Puja, I can try. Today is not the actual day of Aset's birth. This is the day recognized, I think, that we are doing for this celebration of the Kemetic New Year with the goddess Aset. There are 5 days, epigomenal days, that in July that represent the birth of each of the different Neteru, Star, Set, Nebethet, Set, and Erur. How am I doing? Say bye.
Very well, very well.
Okay. I look at each of those days as a day to reflect on those personalities, those divinities, and to really reflect on their persona and how that and my persona related to those Neteru, because they are extensions, they are our personalities, they are who we are. And so that's, each day is devoted, and I think that had something to do with the 360-day calendar and then the 5 extra days representing the birth of the Neteru. That if I'm not, I think that's how that came, about Hetep.
Uja, that's correct. There are the 360 days, and then there's the 5 extra, and which are variable, and they signal the turning over of the year. And as you mentioned, the reflection, the worship of these divinities is what allows the oncoming year, the next year, to roll over and for life to continue. So if they're not worshipped, it means that the creation will not come into being. The rains, the seasons, the harvest, etc., will not be able to function. And in a larger sense, that is what we see, that this worship is not done, and so the world is going to hell in a handbasket, as they say. And so this is a time for commemoration, And in the deeper study of these 5 divinities, something we have not discussed, we're going to be discussing it. I mentioned it earlier, but we're going to be discussing it in detail in the conference, is that it's also, I think, part of the beginning of the course. They signify the 5 major aspects of the human personality. And so and Aset represents the wisdom aspect of the personality. Asar is the soul. And there's much more to that, but I'm just, going over the surface. If you see that, there's another question there if you'd like to try that. Either of you.
Urja, this is Shamswakat. And I see aspirant Sandra I have come to know Bast as the soul of Aset. Can you elaborate on this relationship and add to this realization of Bast as Aset, a soul of Aset? It is my understanding that Aset has the avian qualities. You mostly see her with her wings stretched out, or as you saw before, she had her wings surrounding Asar, and a heptu, an embrace. And Bast, of course, is a feline divinity, so she has different qualities that she embodies. So I feel Aset, of course, is intuitional wisdom. And Bast has her different qualities that she would bring to it. I hope that gives some clarity there. Hatat.
Puja. So just to add to that a little bit also, so where they come together in kind of a synergy is in the serpent power system, where you have the goddess Aset having many different aspects, or the goddess Wajet, the serpent power goddess, who's represented as a serpent, having many different aspects, and in different times in the Kemetic history and different parts of it, where goddess Wajet is in the north, where she was in the north, that area also, there was another city also related to goddess Aset and to the god Heru also in that area. And so at different times in history, the goddess Wajet was related as goddess Aset, was related as goddess Sekhmet, who is the feline, leonine aspect of it, and goddess Bast or Bastet was also related as goddess Wajet also. So all of these different forms or aspects of the serpent power goddess, and the feline aspects relates to goddess Sekhmet and the Sekhem energy, the life force energy that is expressed through the serpentine goddess, and goddess Wajet is related to the sixth energy center, which is the same energy center as goddess Aset. So all of these forms, Sekhmet is known as Sekhmeti, goddess Bast, goddess Wajet, goddess Aset. All these goddesses are aspects of the one serpentine divine goddess. So goddess Aset is also a serpent power goddess, as is goddess Wajet. So in the Kemetic iconography, we have this what's called henotheism, where you have one supreme divinity and then other gods and goddesses which relay different aspects of that one divinity. And so we have that also within the goddess system related to goddess Aset, goddess Bast, goddess Wajet, goddess Sekhmet. They're all that henotheistic aspect of the one supreme goddess represented in the intuitional wisdom.
Do a Sivaja.
So there's another question there.
And Sandra says 5 days to reflect on Neteru. Would that vary depending on our passage at this time in our growth? Or do you recognize only specific Neteru? Or, question mark, a specific 5 Neteru, Aset, Nebet-Het, Set, Heru, Jehuti, Esak. Well, once again, I believe the 5 are Asar, Aset, Nebet-Het, Set, and I'm not certain, Heru-Ur. Is it Heru-Ur? Which means Heru the Great. And I think it depends on where you are in the teaching as to what your emphasis or where you're drawn, but they are all recognized. Each one recognized each part of the day, as Sebai mentioned. The worship of these Neteru was in ancient times considered absolutely essential to beginning the new year without the chaos. And so where it may be odd to pay homage to Set during one of those days, Set is a god, and Set is part of the personality, and everyone has to make peace with that part of their personality. But some people may feel more drawn to one netter as opposed to another. So I think it depends on where you are in the teaching. That's it.
Tip. And as far as Sandra, I also don't know if you are on our Kemetic Temple of Shatot Netter followers email. Probably you are, since you are on this celebration. But within those 5 days that had just passed, each day an email was sent in reference to each of those Neteru, those 5 Neteru. And it did start with Asar, and then Heru, or the elder, and then the god Set, then Aset, and then Nebet-Het. So if you'd like, you can go back through those emails to get a specific teaching. Sometimes there was a prayer, sometimes there was a song, sometimes there was a excerpt from a book of Sebai Maz that you can reflect on. Hita.
Puja, and I would add to what both of you would say, that within our system, because it's a henotheistic system, there's only one supreme divinity, and all of these different divinities are aspects of that one. There is no contradiction in worshiping any divinity on any particular day. This is a ritual of celebration related to a specific aspect of the theology. But whether we're worshiping Goddess Aset, we're still worshiping that one essential supreme divinity, because it's a what we call a henotheistic religion. So we don't think in terms of like this one, and we're worshiping Goddess Aset over here, and then we're going to worship God of Asar over there. When we're worshiping each of them, it's the worship of the essential nature of who we are. So in that way, there's no contradiction, and there's no concern of which one gets worship, and there's no pulling of the mind in one way or the other one according to who's worship and who's not worship. It's always that essential essence that we're worshiping through whichever form we're worshiping. So.
And then I see Shem's Nefer Kara. You have a question here of Uja, I want to confirm that the course can be joined at any time. And is it self-paced, and are there prerequisites? So, Ni, you can join at any time. And I believe Sebai Ma had put the website, which is www.egyptianmysteryschool.org, where you can check that site and see how you may apply. And it depends on your level of spiritual evolution, where you are, as to what prerequisites you would need to have. but usually that course, it is an intensive course. It is something that does require a lot of your time, but it is indeed very rewarding, very insightful, very enlightening.
Very challenging.
Me, I have to co-sign on what Shims Baquet says. Don't worry about it having started. It can be joined at any time. The courses are set up in such a way that they are broken into so many hieroglyphic scripture per course, and you for me it was really I was really motivated, because these Sebai Ma has it set up so that it's almost like a cliffhanger that you need to get through, but you want to finish up the course so you can see what happens next in the course. And so you're really it's really motivating to get through the scriptures. And then you have the group discussions, come together with the group discussions, and you learn from what other people are also sharing. So it's really it's an all around very good type of course, and anyone could join at any time. I would like to see more of those who are in the male form also join the course, because it certainly is for everyone. Okay.
So it looks like Sebamat is sharing the Temple of Isis's new website that you can see on the screen, hopefully. Do aspirant Sandra for your questions, and I'm glad you're going to be, it looks like you're going to be attending the Servant Power in Florida. Dua. Aspirant Sandra, in reference to your questions, speak again a little more on how you would determine where we would be according to your remark of prerequisites. In the application process, there are some questions there explaining what you have studied, if you've ever studied with the temple or other temples. There's many different questions there, and Sebai Ma is the one who determines which classes which would be best for you, whether you are able to enter into this certain class, or maybe you would have to take Kemet 101 first. But that's what I meant by there's a determination there, but that is made by Sebai Ma Hetep. And then I see Hashem's Neferkara, you have a question about also, did you find that it helped to bring more structure and discipline to your Shari? Me, it requires that. It requires that you need to be close to the goddess. And it is, As we said, it is an intensive course, but it can be done, but it does require your time. But it is self-paced, so it's not like you have to get it done in 30 days, or which I don't think could be happen. But it does require your time and your thoughtfulness and your devotion to the goddess.
Me, and I think it actually helps to clarify and focus on the Shetty. I mean, I think it goes even beyond the practice of the Shetty into the world, so to speak. I think it makes all the difference in definitely in your spiritual Shetty, but also in how you approach different aspects in just the world of time and space.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with Shamsarit. It increases your devotion, it increases your meditation, it increases all integral parts of the Shetty disciplines. Aspirant Sandra, you say you have sent a textbook I have written a couple of years ago from the inspiration incited into me, resulting from my study inwardly and externally, including the many books you have supplied. I sent as an e-book to you already, asking to have it looked at. I think it may help in this determination as I am looking for spiritual alliance in the flesh. I am assuming you had sent that to Sebai Ma. I know I had not received it, but Sebai Ma would be the one who would receive that anyway.
Pooja, I think that was something that was sent to myself. So, right, it's something that will be addressed if she's going to be at the program. Have not a chance to address it. And it's something that after the course, at the end of the workshop, we can address it more in detail.
Do a Sebaja for the clarification.
I'm going to say something. I'm waiting for you to show them. But they can see what you're doing. You have the whole scroll, the one with the whole scroll.
I showed a piece of it before.
You're just adding more questions because we're waiting for that.
But Uja, I'm just passing through the website so everyone can see. If you can just continue as I scroll through.
And as you can see, Sebai Ma is showing these Nefer pictures of the temple itself. He's going through these slides that I guess are on the website. There is the Nefer Temple of Aset from Happy, the Nile. And as we had shared within our course, Seba uses many different media. Sometimes it'll be a beautiful picture, a Nefer picture like this. Sometimes it will be a recording. Sometimes a recording of a music that relates to the teaching that is given during that lesson. We also, sometimes there's even little cartoons. But in our discussion forums is where our interaction is between Sebaima, Sebaja, and ourselves. And so many gems come out of that. So it is a valuable asset to the program. Okay.
Hetep, we can go ahead and conclude whenever you're ready.
Would you like to conclude, Seba?
No, you. This is your evening, so go ahead.
Okay. Shamsarit, would you like to lead us in a chant?
Isha, let's chant to Lady Aset. Dua Aset, Heteru Mutneter.
Dua Aset, Heteru Mutneter.
Nabit Pad Hanut, Abu Titit Neteru.
Never had it. Abu Neteru.
Dua Aset, Heteru Mutneter.
Dua Aset, Heteru Mutneter.
Nabit Pad Hanut, Abu Titit Neteru.
Nebet Pad Hanu, Abu Titi Neteru.
Adoration to she, Isis Hathor, Mother of the Divine Self, Mistress of Abaton, Queen of the Gods and Goddesses. Attack.
Attack.
Hetep.
Om Hetep, 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 Hetep.
Om Hetep, 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 Hetep.
Om peace, 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 peace.
Om peace, 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 peace.
Hetep.
Hetep.
Hetep.